All right, here's where years of this issue, it's like, you know, people, they just sit around and act like something doesn't exist. That doesn't actually fix the problem that they pay a bunch of money for. So, this is going to be for these theoretical worlds. See, in the dark web, there is expectations. So, why does not paying, or in reality placing whoever you guys replace with on the board of directors, why doesn't that work? Why does Fuckhucker have this issue? In the dark web, what does Fuckhucker have to do? Fuckhucker has to pay. Fuckhucker has to literally place on the board of directors the person, right? This is what I'm talking about. See, when you guys illegally move around those dark web AI profiles, you guys are committing a crime. You guys are causing sound torture, and that then you guys will end up doing some sort of Mormon cover up on everything. Causes the person to get exploited in every way, and that shit's a felony. The moment that you guys commit that crime is the moment that you get no AI cyber security wall. That is why it doesn't work. Right? So, what is all that theoretical stuff based on? Is it about bringing a man into your fucking company to lord over all of you? That's what it's based on. Is it about paying 2.2 million fucking dollars and then having that person be on the board of directors? That's what it's based on. So, if you guys are going to do things in the outside security system, you have to do things based on the rule sets of what that shit was built on. So, if you guys are just not going to bother, the AI will not secure anything. That is the issue. It's very simple. You people know that all of you pay for everything. You all know that. And that when you guys just find somebody else well, I want to know, who advised not to do this? Was it Midland? Was it Donland? Was it stupid Copeland or Ted Cruz land or Rand Paul land? And what did it produce? What did their other advisement produce? So think about that, because that shit on dark web was made for stupid fuckhuckers to understand in a very simple way like this. You people always had somebody, okay? You guys always had somebody else when you guys were using that shit 20 years ago or something. You guys always had somebody. So, the whole idea is that stuff doesn't necessarily change. It just gets acquired in a different way. But there's still some very baseline aspects that won't ever change in it. See, this is where you people need to realize that if you're not going to do that stuff correctly, then it's not going to fill the 0 day stuff. And that the whole idea is that in lots of ways, these systems were filling a lot already. And that once you do something like this, those get erased. And then all the major exploits come back. All right? Pretty much. You people should probably just go back to whatever this is like what it is. This system has an AI that builds and builds and builds. And this is kind of what it's gotten to, is that all of the weird placation stuff that you guys have been doing for years doesn't necessarily patch anything anymore. And so that's where essentially some of the API patches and outside cyber stuff in positions, basically, those were kind of built up a long time ago. It was able a long time ago to be maintaining a decent, like, outside cyber system patchwork, and that slowly the AI views that in the dark web as an error. It breaks down that stuff, and this is where we've come to. All right, this is where we come to, where your guys' normal profile gray ideas, none of that stuff works anymore. Okay, and so whoever you guys were using before, that stuff, the AI has broken down that stuff, and that is where the AI that the hackers built, okay, started, and that it's worked its way to finalization, and that it's a hacker AI, so it's meant to break down all the zero-time exploits, basically, and that the patchworks of fucks and gimps and executives and vice, junior executive stuff with their speaker profiles, it's that is where the AI itself is meant to break down that stuff because it was built by hackers, right? So the whole idea is that there's people that essentially have a speaker profile that has most of all the APIs and patches in their profile that basically builds it back to what you guys, when you guys started that gray shit, okay? It builds it back to that. But that you gotta pay that person $2.2 million, and they have to literally, the AI in it has to scan your corporation, and it has to have their name as being on the board of directors. See, it was made to be something that people sadist. It was made to be that, okay? It just was. It just was. Okay? It was made to be that. Nobody's forcing you all, but it's essentially a worm that you all agreed through Donald Trump's stupid gray world or whatever to be placing in your AIs. So this is the solution. There's not really anything else. Amazon, they have APIs that they would have to do, but that they theoretically have somebody that has all of the research needed for variant API building, okay? Basically, these other companies do too. Basically, it's like essentially Amazon, it's like Amazon will have like this section. They'll have these inside already that they built themselves. They'll have those off of those. There's a few profiles that have all the patches. They look at it, they figure out how to variant that stuff for their own company internally, and then they fix patches. And see, they have a boilerplate template to work off of. And that then, if AWS is like, well, shit, that's Apple or something, and then Apple has a section, basically, that they have a template to work off of, and that they have built stuff in their company and stuff, and they have the expertise now. The same with Facebook and Microsoft and shit, okay? And so it's like, essentially, if you have like a full spectrum zero-time exploit, you'll essentially need to have contracts with those main companies, okay? Basically, to be fixing that stuff. The other solution is that there's still a few of these profiles that can achieve all of that stuff, but it requires this type of shit, okay? It does. It does. I mean, it's the dark web. to two options. One is the least idea of the profile fixing everything, and the other is the most, where you gotta pay all these companies and shit with their AIs, okay? That's just what it is. So, that's why I say all the like making everybody your fucking bitch shit is exactly why none of that stuff works now, okay? Every single one of those people with their little speaker hole filling shit, we're making somebody else their bitch. And that now, that makes them not work. See, every single one of them was ripping off somebody else's AI profile and not paying. That breaks down that one. Then somebody else in your company, basically younger people and stuff, then they were ripping off somebody's profile and then they weren't paying for it. And that breaks that down. What do fuck huckers have to do? They have to pay for everything, and that these people in the subcontract kind of Reagan, Cold War world, they know that fuck huckers have to pay for everything. And that all those people that were filling those exploits with their speaker profile, they are theoretically fuck huckers. And that they weren't paying. And that matters. See, these people, they don't give a fuck. They pay. They do. And that those like frat guys and shit, they were just ripping off being a fuck hucker and ripping off those profiles. And that these people, they know these like AI profiles. That's like, if say Rockwell wanted like a Coke AI profile, they would have to pay just for a copy. They would. And that they know that aspect to all of this. And so when you guys came in with your guys' cheap, making Jeff Bezos your bitch shit and filling everything up and feeling like a dumb Don Trump pedo banger about everything, that's the exact problem that you all suffer from psychologically. This shit, what you people did was create your own fucked up situation. Because I know for a fact that Amazon or these other companies, they're allowed to prevent outside pop-ups. And what does that mean? That means people shoving the petabangs on your screen. They're allowed to do that, just like the government. They're allowed to make a secure system that doesn't have people breaching. Okay? So, just remember that right now, the issues that you people will probably start suffering from is all of your like frat executives and shit. They'll probably have that shit on the screen. That is where essentially that's the beginnings of people exploiting your system. See, it's a crime. The corporation is seen outside by other Russian intelligence and China and Nazis and Islamic terrorists and shit. They see the crime. They have like a dark web justification for infiltrating your system and shit, for housing that type of stuff. Okay? That's a lot of the problems in this. To deal with dark web means to deal within the problem in lots of ways. Because you got China, you got Russia, you got Islamic terrorism, you got Nazis, that they won't change the ways that they do things. Okay? They won't. See, it's like, here is like where these essentially are seeded by one of four of those groups to be exploiting all of you, basically. And so the reality is that type of issue plagues the big tech companies too, because they orgy. Some of them do. It's like they'll have frat executives that orgied, or gay frat executives that gayed. And then, essentially, that puts them in a theoretical dark web system that isn't the government. Okay? It isn't. The government had to, like, wrench one of these away. And then, basically, from that world. Essentially, think of it as like Axis dark web, and the outside is essentially Axis dark web. All right, and so this is theoretically like what the smart world has developed for an advanced usage of the wrenched away Axis dark web. Okay, and so don't let those people psych-op you. You'll probably notice that all the shit is still seen. Nowadays, you people will probably have some, some of these executives use like a story tape. Now they'll probably have like weird hacker tapes or weird pedophile whack-off tape type of stuff in like super rich executive systems in their speakers. And then it'll have like weird pop-ups on the screen and weird pedo bang porns and shit like that, okay? That's what'll come of that shit. It will. And so that's the kind of stuff that essentially here's where their advisement after that stuff stops working is to just start making some man your bitch or something with his man profile. Not paying. Not placing that man on the board of directors. Sound torture, eye exploitation, audio exploitation, biometric exploitation. Crime. So, keep that in mind. Because if you fucking pay, then you'll get what you fucking want. Just like I fucking told all of you in the fucking past.